Anna is the type of selfish arsehole who will fake her own death, sending everyone she's close to and everyone who loves her into tears and years of deep mourning because she needs time. She just can't make up a fucking mind. 30 years is a long-ass career for a sniper to figure out that killing folks ain't really her thing, and then she'd rather abandon the people that have come to rely on her because it was convenient at the time, destabilizing Overwatch and contributing heavily to its eventual demise. Then, after seeing her daughter, who was taught all those military skills and values by her, mind you, go the same route as her, she decides to drop back in, now that the smoke is cleared. But instead of banding together with someone and making things happen again, she wants to have a cake and eat it too, being a soldier for good, unwilling to work with other soldiers for good, because you might accomplish something together, and we wouldn't want that now, would we? Bastion is just a war robot that doesn't work. There's nothing more to say. If you're a war bot, you kill. If you decide not to kill instead, you're only good for spare parts. D.Va is a celebrity soldier who was given her job as a publicity stunt because no, being good at Zerk rushing does not make you a mech pilot. The praise and adoration she's received, as mandated by the fascist state that she is the icon of, has blinded her to reality so much that someone was able to sell her a light gun on the basis that it was pink, and not on the basis that it shoots slower than light, for which there can be only one reason. The military that controls her wants to make sure she can be managed when she's outside of her suit and doesn't go off having any original ideas outside of the confines of the game they built for her. Genji, the cyborg ninja, is the biggest deep throat of the collective weep penis since katanas became mandatory to carry in public. No wonder he got depressed with his new cyborg body. Overwatch forgot to add a dick, which is unfortunate for someone who's essentially been a hedonist all his life. And sure, he may pretend not to give a fuck with all his leaf in the wind bullshit, but the knowledge that he will never again be a complete human being and instead die a testimony to how little Overwatch cares about its operatives will resurface at some point. Hanzo is a masochistic Hawkeye knockoff and the second deep throat of the weeaboo dick. No wonder he failed at killing his own brother, he was using a fucking bow and arrow in the 21st century. He's so far up his own arse, feeling sorry for himself more than anything else, and buried in a ridiculously traditional lifestyle so he can feel special. The fact that all a man who is a magical dragon as an ally fused to his soul has accomplished is to be a societal outcast with an alcoholism problem is truly saddening. The only reason Junkrat is at the top of international crime is because of sheer luck. What, you think he beats a world full of surveillance intelligence and high-end security with a grenade launcher built from spare car parts and duct tape? Quite literally everything he does is a massive arsepull. There's no reason except impossible luck that he isn't in every single prison in the world yet. He's so lucky that he hasn't even noticed the top of his hair has been burning for years. Of course, if everything you do succeeds, you'll go fucking crazy. It takes a special kind of mindset to think, hey, if I stand on this mine and detonate it, I will be propelled upward instead of dying. Lucio is a sociopath who has a grand all-time murdering people. He's a DJ that went, hey, you know what I'm gonna try to do with music? Kill people. He may hide his murder habits behind a freedom fighter veneer, but nobody goes, oh yeah, after blowing someone off a skyscraper that isn't a deranged sociopath. Yeah, he heals his fellow killer friends, but he could have easily left it at that if he just didn't enjoy taking lives so much. If you like him, congratulations. You've fallen into the trap of an intelligent psychopath. McCree has jumped ship when things got heated so often that nobody likes him anymore. He's hidden his disloyalty and opportunism under layers and layers of almost comical disguise, so much so that he probably is even convinced himself that he's some kind of outlaw vigilante. The reason he dispenses his own brand of justice isn't to make amends for the things he did as a gangster, but to forget about having stabbed everyone that's ever trusted him in the back. Mei is such a sociopath that the only thing she will do after everyone she was close to and worked with freezes to death is get the idea that ice is pretty good at killing people, so she should use it to kill more people. Her objective is the extermination of the entire human race, which is why she refers to mass murder as fighting for a better world. Her environmentalism has turned from a noble ideal to a dangerous obsession of total genocide, an activity she takes great pleasure in, choosing to kill her victims slowly and letting them stare death in the face before executing them with a smile on her lips. Mercy's moral compass is so misaligned that she'll condemn Overwatch for using violence to achieve peace, but at the same time create tortured eldritch abominations that roam the world unshackled. She's found a cure for death, apparently, but has chosen not to share it with the world, presumably because it involves drinking the blood of toddlers. She's a hypocrite too. If she's so opposed to violence, why does she make use of it so much? Sure, the handgun can be explained as a method of self-defense, but she did specifically build her magic staff to be able to amplify people's damage, making them much more powerful at, you guessed it, doing violence. Pharah is just a more boring version of the lawful good paladin we all know and hate. The only difference is that she has a wonky-ass jetpack on her back and can shake her tits to release a hail of rockets. She's a traditionalist with no mind of her own, following blindly in her parents' footsteps of military service. Her morals were plastered onto her by generals and drill officers, and the crazy, impractical iconography she displays on her suit demonstrates that Pharah genuinely believes herself to be some kind of superhero without whom the world would be much worse off. Reaper is an immortal edgelord who's decided to cosplay as Skeletor for the rest of eternity, and instead of solving all of the world's problems by creating an infinite supply of energy from his infinite supply of shotguns, he shoots motherfuckers, because everyone was so mean to him, and poorly fakes the voice of a chainsmoker too. Reinhardt is an ineffective vigilante whose perception of reality has been permanently altered by the consumption of severe quantities of hallucinogens. He insists on fighting in a massive, impractical battle armor that is too expensive to maintain properly. His squire is a brilliant engineer who could be out there being useful to the world, but instead, she has to babysit an old man that can't cope with the fact that he's aging and play Sancho Panza to his windmill-charging fantasies. In all honesty, Roadhog isn't even human. Think about it. He wears a mask to cover his face at all times, and owns both a magic superheal rebreather and a quantum hook that can cross through space and time and be everywhere at once. And that's not even considering his weird-ass belly button. What the fuck? Humans don't have belly buttons like that. Clearly, Roadhog is some form of alien from a high-tech civilization sent to investigate the chance anomaly that is Junkrat, disguised as a fat Australian with a sleep apnea machine. Jack Morrison is an international superstar who decided the best disguise to take when returning as a vigilante was RoboCop. He talks a big game about being tough and jaded to the world, yet is every bit the ineffectual hero he used to be. His rigid moral code and unwillingness to sacrifice anyone in the face of the bigger picture will foil his pointless personal war, the same as it ruined Overwatch under his leadership. Sombra is such a spoiled brat that she destroyed her entire identity after a single experience of failure. She's a criminal gangbanger with the interests of no one but herself in mind, and will ruthlessly apply her skills to achieve whatever whim she has that day. Her flamboyant style and laid-back behavior demonstrates just how much of a sensitive megalomaniac she is, and how important a veneer of casual omnipotence is to her. Symmetra is a brainwashed corporate drone so deep into the cult-like structure of Vishkar that she's programmed to see the world through only one lens. You know why she tells people about her reality? because in her reality, one of the most powerful and corrupt megacorporations in the world is some sort of humanitarian super project. She's being used by people much smarter than herself as a tool to conduct corporate espionage and sabotage, and even when she sees that Vishka kills and destroys, only to then not rebuild as promised, she still toes the corporate line, unwilling to accept what's really going on. She's just following orders to make the world a better place. Torbjörn is a disgruntled Warhammer 40k reject who compensates for his lack of height by building giant death machines. Everything needs to be bigger and better with him, to a degree where it provides no benefits and is there only for the bragging rights. Have a gun that shoots bullets? Well, his shoots fucking lava. Have a heating system in your combat suit? Well, his can bring his armor to its melting point and then some. Think you have a magnificent beard? Well, he spends 3 hours in the bathroom each morning, and when it's unfurled, he wipes the floor by walking. Tracer has been unable to wash herself for years because she'll immediately bounce around in time when she goes and takes off that suit to take a shower. Why do you think her hair sits like that and shines in the sunlight? It's oilier than a can of sardines, that's why. Not only that, but she'll be roaming the universe for eternity, long after everyone she knows has died because, in addition to being unable to maintain personal hygiene, she is unaging. Her chronal accelerator will malfunction at some point, and Winston will be dead, resulting in a slow descent as an insane time ghost bouncing through all 4 dimensions of the universe in an unending tortured existence. Widowmaker is a killer smurf in skin-tight clothing. Her slowed heart and cooled blood should make her incredibly slow and weak, yet she swings around the block like a Tarzan with tits. This leads me to believe that the shroomheads at Talon pumped her full of silver to artificially induce argyrosis, because they thought having a blue assassin would be cool. Harambe is a nerd with a small penis and anger management issues. He's attached to a past life where he was happy and is willing to sacrifice world peace in order to relive those days, because he knows that being a gorilla, he ain't got that many of them left. He thinks he's clever by replacing bananas with a peanut butter addiction, but nobody buys into his bullshit. His insistence that he's a scientist instead of a monkey is delusional also, because he's neither. He's an ape and an engineer. Wearing glasses does not make you a scientist, but building gadgets and Tesla guns you have to reload for some reason does make you an engineer. Zarya is a racist weightlifter with a narcissistic personality disorder. She always needs validation to show how strong she is, and let's just say I'm not surprised she went through an emo phase. And sure, her hatred for robots may be a product of her wartime experiences, making her essentially the old grandpa who sits around cursing Charlie all day. She's not a robophobe, she just doesn't like the look of those screwheads. In all this fucking flexing, I mean, Jesus Christ. We know you're strong. No reason to rip off that gun from that tank, because yes, that gun she carries, the one that is much more suited to be used by infantry in the first place, she did rip off a tank. Probably during the process of realizing she'd given up a life of Olympic fame because she was so filled with hate. Zenyatta is a cult leader who has reached enlightenment by finding that the best use of his time is to fling metal balls around at high velocity. He's the Jim Jones to Takata Mondata's Pope, he just hasn't orchestrated any mass suicides yet. Instead of broadcasting his teachings and making them widely available like the Shambali do, he's decided that it's much more effective to talk to each human individually, because there's only so few billions of them, and to really speak in riddles and not express himself clearly, because that'll make it more of an adventure. From this poor judgment, one might assume that Zenyatta has, on his way to enlightenment, lost touch with reality and simply forgot what time is. As a robot, he is probably immortal, so he doesn't have to care about the fact that his little peace project might take forever. After all, it's not his fault humans die, right?